All right, this is lesson 11.3, which is surface area of pyramids and cones. We rarely do lateral, but I put the formulas on here just in case. You might want to add these to your notes if they're not on there. I think they are on there though. So this is for cones. This is for pyramids. Capital B, remember, means area of the base. The L, that's the one that most people mess up on. It's the slant height. So don't forget that. A lot of people think length. All right, find the surface area of a regular square pyramid with a base edge length of 14 and a slant height of 25. So if you remember, our formula of a pyramid is 1/2 PL plus capital B. So I'm going to write that. 1/2 PL plus capital B. So it tells us that it doesn't tell us the perimeter. It tells us the slant height is 25. And then we don't know capital B. So I'm not going to draw the whole thing. I'm just going to draw the base because that's easier. Base is a square. That's a really good square. Just pretend. So the base edge length is 14. So the perimeter of the base would be 14 times 4, which is 56. So we plug that in for perimeter. Capital B is area of the base, which would be 14 times 14, so 196. And then you type that whole thing in your calculator. So 1/2, and you can do 0.5 in the calculator if you'd like, times 56 times 25 plus 196. I got 896. Perfect. Whew. Now this just says find the area of each lateral face. So all the lateral faces are going to be the same. That's just every triangle. So we really are just doing area of a triangle on this one. So we have 10 right here. We have 16 right here. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Thought that was going to be a much more difficult problem than it was. So you basically are doing half of 1600, so 800. Is that right? Let's do 10 times 160 divided by 2. Yeah, just making sure. That's the area of one lateral face. It's area of each lateral face. Now, that's kind of a poorly phrased question. It might want you to find all of them together, in which case you'd multiply that by 6. But I think when it says each, it means just one. Find the surface area of a regular pentagonal pyramid with a base edge length of 6, an apothem of 4, and a slant height of 11.7. So it's a pyramid. Our surface area formula is 1/2 PL plus capital B. So the base edge length of the pentagon is 6 feet. Let's see if I can draw a pretty pentagon. I can, because it will do it for me. So each side is 6. So we have 6 times 5, which makes the perimeter 30. The slant height is 11.7. Then area of the base is what we put here. But to get area of the base, you do 1/2 perimeter times apothem. So 1/2 the perimeter, which we've already found is 30. We're given the apothem is 4.1. So 4.1 times 30 times 1/2 is 61.5. So capital B is 61.5. So we plug that in right here. Then you can type that whole thing in the calculator. 1/2 times 30 times 11.7 plus 61.5. And I get 237. Okay, this one says find the exact lateral area and surface area of a right cone with a radius of 5 and a slant height of 9. So our formula for a cone is pi r L plus pi r squared. So the radius is 5, slant height is 9. Now it says exact, which means we leave pi in our answer. So 9 times 5 is 45 pi plus 25 pi. And then you just add the 25 and the 45 and you get 70 pi. Hopefully. Oh, it said lateral. Okay, but the great thing about lateral is just this first half, this pi RL. So I always do total anyway, and then I know my lateral is this part right here. So we actually did get both, but I missed that when I read it. All right, find the exact surface area of the cone. Now, this one is pi RL plus pi r squared. Problem is we don't know L, but the great thing is we can find it. So to get that, you'd have to do Pythagorean theorem. 8 squared plus 15 squared equals the slant height squared. So that's 64 plus 1, or 225, which is 289. So we have 289 equals L squared. Then you take the square root of both sides, and you get 17 for the slant height. So now we can plug everything in. We have S equals pi, radius is 8, slant height is 17, plus pi 8 squared. And it says exact, so you don't type the pi in. And you can type this whole thing in, especially since they don't need lateral, just without the pi. So do like 8 times 17 plus 8 squared. And you get 200, so 200 pi would be your answer. You just don't type the pi in, if it says exact or in terms of pi. All right, the base, edge length, and slant height of a regular hexagonal pyramid are both divided by 5. Describe the effect on the surface area. So if they're divided by 5, that actually means our scale factor is 1/5. So, effect on surface area, remember you square the scale factor, so the scale factor squared is 1 to 25. So the new area would be 1/25 the original size. On this one, it says slant height and everything's multiplied by 2/3, so your scale factor is 2/3. So the effect on the surface area would be 2/3 squared, which would be 4/9. Ratio of comparing surface areas would be 4:9. And we have a whole lesson over this at the end of the unit. I just bring it up from time to time to remind you so that it's not all overwhelming at the end. Let me see. Okay. Find the exact surface area of the composite figure. So I think the easiest thing on this one is to just find lateral of this cone and lateral of this cone because it doesn't include the bases. You could do total of both and then subtract it in the middle, but because we have formulas for lateral, I just think that's easier. So lateral of a cone is pi RL. So surface area 1 and surface area 2, and then we'll just add them together at the end. So on this one, they have the same, call this one 1 and this one 2. They have the same radius on both. So, let me change my color back to red. So the surface area of the first one is pi times 6 times the slant height, which is 12. So 12 times 6 is 72. So for the surface area of the first one, we get 72 pi. Now the second one's a little bit trickier because we don't have the slant height, so we have to do Pythagorean theorem. So let's get a pretty color like purple and come over here and do 8 squared plus 6 squared equals the slant height squared. And you get 100 equals L squared, so L equals 10. So this slant height is 10. So when we plug it in, we get pi times 6 times 10, which is 60 pi. So when you add them together, 60 plus 72, you should get 132 for the total. 132 pi. Did it say exact? Yes, it did. Perfect.